I'm not saying that brother Kendrick Perkins is an idiot per se, but when it comes to some of his takes, it's definitely an element of idiocy, especially when it comes to the narrative that he pushes, especially in this situation about Nikola Jokic winning MVP because he's so-called white, and then trying to push the angle of stat padding, as well as saying that Steve Nash and Dirk Nowitzki, as well as Jokic, they weren't top 10 in scoring, and those were the only three players that's white that wasn't top 10 in scoring who won an MVP, which has nothing to do with anything. Like, scoring is not the main factor that, helps your case to win an MVP. Obviously, you have to be the best player on the best team record wise for the most part, or unless you're doing something that's, historic, which is what Jokic has been doing for the past 3 seasons. And in this case, he deserves it because his team is number one. He's the best player on that team. He's damn near averaging a triple double. And he says, Perkins says that 20% or 80% of the voters, the MVP voters, are white, which is untrue. And he stated that matter of factly, real stern, as if it was something that was true but wasn't. Just a big old fool, a big buffoon, just a goofball. That's what Perkins is. And it's really, really, a representation of ESPN as a whole. It's like, why would they hire this guy? It is not to take away from, any sort of intelligence that he has, but when it comes to what he displays, it's just idiocy. And, he has certain takes that's on point when it comes to just, his analysis in general as far as sports, basketball, whatnot. But the race angle is just idiocy. That's all it is. It's pure idiocy. It says that 80% of the voters are white, therefore it's racist. But if you look at the fucking NBA, 70% of the NBA is made up of our people, it's made up of black people. And the majority of MVPs who won the MVP are black people. If they were really racist, then they would pick the best white player that season, every season, to win an MVP. Or the majority of the time they would do that. That would really show that they're racist. So he's implying that they're racist because it's 80% of them. And, Nikola Jokic won an MVP 3 straight seasons. The last white player to win the fucking MVP before Nikola Jokic was Dirk, and that was in '07. That was in '07. So what are we talking about here? This is how you know that he was just pushing his narrative because of the whole race angle. They love to raise bait. This is just what the fuck they do. And, he had this stat about, like I said, the three players that weren't in top 10 ever since 1990, which was convenient. It's like, why the fuck you cut it off at 1990? So Perk was just all over the place. He's one of those dudes that you could tell he just try to make a big splash when it comes to certain takes, and he missed, he fumbled.
Stephen, I mean no offense to you, and mean no offense to First Take, because I think this show is extremely valuable. It is an honor to be on this desk every day. It really is. But what we've just witnessed is the problem with this show, where we create narratives that do not exist in reality. The implication, what you are implying, that the white voters that vote on NBA are racist, that are they
Look at this dude. He always get all triggered and shit like a child. Like, why are you doing all that? Talking about Perkins just moving around like sighing and shit with his, like, what are you doing all that for? That's like real childish. Come on, bro. You too big for all that. You gotta show a level of comportment, man. At the end of the day, you being called out, you know you was wrong. That's why you're doing all that.
favor white people. You did. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. That is exactly what you implied, Kendrick Perkins. That is exactly what you implied. Secondly, hold on.
Like, you hear this dude? Like, come on, man. Grow up. Sound like a big old child. I did not. Like, what are you doing, bro? My gosh, come on, Perk. Get it together, bro.
Hold on.
I did not call. I stated the facts. And you're not about to sit up.
We all know what you implied the other day. We all know what you implied just now. Hold on.
I stated it's the facts.
Why are you yelling, bro? There's no need to yell. You're wrong. You're incorrect, man. You're wrong. It's the fact. It's the facts.
It's the facts. It's the facts.
Okay.
Secondly, no one said that players don't stat pad. No one said that players aren't aware of their stats within a game. You're talking about Giannis doing it. That has nothing to do with Nikola Jokic. My point that I made the other day, which is a valid point and which I will stand by, is that Nikola Jokic does not care. What he cares about doesn't fit your narrative. So your narrative to discredit him somehow, to discredit what he's doing, it's not based in reality, Perk. And no one is disrespecting Giannis. No one is disrespecting Joel Embiid. Look, earlier in the season, you could have made an argument for Luka for MVP. You could have made an argument for Tatum. Right now, 65 games, with 17 to go, there's 3 guys you can make an argument for. And they all have valid arguments. Embiid, Giannis, and Jokic, they all have valid arguments. Nobody's discrediting them. What is the evidence? I want to know. Because this is what you do. You're implying something. You're saying something.
Yes, you are. You are implying something because you brought it up. What's the point of bringing that up? You are implying that the fucking MVP voters are racist, which is why you say 80% of the voters, they're white and 20% are others. It's a fact. It's a fact. And it's not even a fact. It's just something that you pulled out your ass. Because you race baiting, you pushing that race nonsense. For what reason? Because ESPN is fucking woke. And they love to push the socialist agenda. And him as a black man, you're just pushing his victimhood. At the end of the day, brother, 70% of the NBA is made up of black people. 75% of the NBA is made up of black people. The majority of MVP winners are black. What are we talking about here, bro? You reaching. That's what you doing. Big buffoon ass nigga, man.
Jokic stat pad. No, he doesn't.
No,
white voters favor white Europeans. No, they don't.
No.
That's what you're saying.
No.
Like, get your point out already, bro. Get it out. Gosh.
I made a fact of. I didn't. Time out. What I made a statement on was that I said it happens around the league. Along with Jokic, people knows what goes on. And for you to sit up here and for you to come on here and you to say, that's not who Jokic is. Like, how in the hell do you know how another man is feeling inside? That's what I want to ask you. How the hell you know? A pair of lips could say anything.
Because I talk to his teammates who are around him every day. Because I talk to Mike Malone, who's been around him for 8
What, Perk, why are you going so hard? Why are you yelling? This dude, he should not be on TV after this. Like, for real. They should not have him on here after this. Because he don't know how to conduct himself on TV. He's an idiot. He just is. It's like you could have a debate. You could have a discourse. You don't got to get all crazy and rowdy and contentious. That's how you know that the dude knows he's wrong. So you got to get all rowdy and shit. Like, how you know him? That's not even what the point was. It was really about you saying that the MVP voters are 80% white, therefore implying that they're racist. That was the whole point. It's not about the whole stat pattern thing. JJ Redick acknowledged that, there is stat pattern that goes on in the NBA. And some of it, to a degree, isn't, it's lighthearted. And I'm sure you guys know that, certain players are aware of their stats where they pretty much wait till the buzzer sounds, at the end of a quarter before they take a shot because they want to maintain their stats. They want to maintain that percentage. And I'm hearing that the NBA may allow players who shoot that shot to where if they miss, it won't affect their percentage. They won't count it as a miss. But if they make it, obviously their percentage goes up. So that shows me that the NBA is aware that players are aware of their stats or, their percentage, which is not a bad thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. But the point is about the race angle. That's what the point is.
Can I talk for a second? The reason that I brought it up was when we started talking about triple doubles. All I said was, and Stephen A., you could correct me if I'm wrong. I said that when Russ was averaging a triple-double, that he was getting crucified.
Russ was not getting crucified. He was not getting crucified. He's saying that Russ was getting crucified because he would try to like take rebounds from Adams and whatnot because he's, obviously trying to maintain his triple-double streak. Russ was not getting crucified. It wasn't that many people talking about that. It was certain people who were saying that, but he wasn't getting crucified. He obviously won the MVP, so, it wasn't a thing of him being crucified. So he's reaching with this one. It's a false equivalency.
He was getting crucified for stealing Stephen Adams' rebounds. But hold on. But stop. Jokic didn't win.
Yo, this dude Perk, bro. This dude gets so triggered. Like, stop. Why are you going so hard, bro? Like, relax, man. Relax.
But listen to what I'm saying about the triple-doubles. He was getting crucified, and it was clips going around saying, oh, you know what? Russell Westbrook, look at him. Steven Adams boxing out, he go and grab a rebound. But guess what advanced stats and analytics could tell us? That, hey, if Russ grabbed a rebound, you could hurry up and start the break. You could hurry up and push and transition. That's what the advanced stats and the analytics will say, or the court on the camera will say. They'll say, why would Steven Adams, hold on, listen for a second. Why would Steven Adams box out, grab a rebound, have to worry about finding Russ getting open when you're taking 3 or 4 seconds off the 24-second shot clock? That's what the advanced and the coaching staff will say to his defense. So my point, what I'm telling you is
you're telling me to listen for a minute, my brother. I've been listening for 12. I just want to chime in.
But you've been letting JJ talk.
Yo, this dude Perk, man. Oh my gosh. It's sad, bro. This dude is a big kid. He's conducting himself like a kid. Yeah, but you've been letting JJ talk. What, Stephen A? Like, bro. Show some professionalism on TV, bro. Like, what the fuck they hired this guy for? He acting like a fucking child, bro. For real. Come on, bro. Pick your fucking pants up. What are you doing? This dude is really acting like a child. Like, come on, Stephen. How you let him talk?
What you talking
I let
about?
both of y'all, hold on. I let both of y'all talk. That's not true. I let both of y'all talk. I haven't said anything.
All right, go
I
ahead.
gave the segment to y'all. That's
Go
number
ahead.
one. All right? JJ, let me say a couple of things. Number one, I did not agree with what Kendrick Perkins said when he talked about Nikola Jokic stat padding. I just want to make that very, very clear.
I know.
However,
I watched the segment.
I know. However, it is important to point out two things. Number one, Kendrick Perkins is absolutely right when he talked about the heat that Russell Westbrook was taking when he was recording those triple-doubles. He was taking a lot of heat at that particular moment in time. That's number one. And number two, when Steve Nash won the league MVP, there were a whole bunch of folks that had an issue with it not being given to Shaq instead of him. And a lot of folks were African American.
Yes,
That's
I agree
true.
with that.
Now, I wouldn't go any further than that, but I'm just saying that's a reality that was transpiring. And as it pertains to First Take, listen, I don't take any offense with what you said. I get where you're coming from, but I would remind you, there are a plethora of debate shows that tackle these issues, some more than others because they don't have 2 hours of television real estate.
Nah, but y'all woke as hell. Like, y'all the main ones that push all this nonsense. All these diversity tactics, all these goddamn socialist agendas, the LGBTQ, all these nonsensical leftist agendas. Y'all the main ones. Stop it, Stephen A. Stop. Obviously, Fox News and all that, Fox Sports Networks, they push it to a degree, but not like ESPN. And there's only fucking 2 networks that got debate shows. It's this one and Fox Sports Network. Somebody else remind me. I can't think of anyone else. So it's not like come on. It's not like it's a lot. So at the end of the day, bro, y'all know damn well y'all the main ones that push the shit. This is why JJ Redick pointed it out. Because he understands and he's sort of a realist to a degree. But at the end of the day, he still can't toe that company line. But he's still sort of a realist. He understands what they really push when it comes to the agendas, the race agendas, because ESPN is woke. They're socialists. They like to push the Luciferian left-hand agendas when it comes to all this nonsense, the socialist nonsense, the Marxism, all that. They push that heavy on ESPN. That's why Disney pretty much hovers over ESPN. You know what Disney is about. So come on, Stephen A. Don't do that. Y'all know y'all the main ones that push this shit.
They're not number one, et cetera, et cetera. But the reality of the situation is this is not the only place where these subjects get tackled.
100%.
It's not about the subject. It's about the agenda. That's the point of it. That's the point that JJ Redick was pushing. He was pretty much talking about the agenda that y'all push. Y'all push all these things where it's not there in regards to these narratives. That's what he specifically said. He didn't say the problem with this show is that we tackle these subjects. He didn't say that. He said the problem with this show is that we push narratives that aren't there. You know, just paraphrasing, but that's what he said pretty much.
I just want to point that out, okay?
100%.
At the end of the day, that's all I wanted to say. Outside of that, the only other point that I would add is this, and I'd like you to address this, but I want to go back to Kendrick Perkins to make sure he said all the points that he wanted to say. When Kendrick Perkins brings up, Nikola Jokic and how do you know what's inside of his head? JJ, only thing that I would say to you is, you know what he's told you. You know what teammates have told you.
And at the end of the day, Perkins being disingenuous with that, because with a lot of debates, a lot of these analysts, they like to say shit like, well, he has to be mentally prepared, or, he thought that he should be here, or he's supposed to go here. I'm a little messy with it. Like I'm not really giving you the best examples of it, but they do this a lot when they pretty much jump into the heads of these players. So Perkins being disingenuous with that, he just didn't have a good enough comeback because he knew that he pretty much got called out for the race shit.
But in this industry, we can point to many, many facts caught on camera where guys say one thing and then they retire and they admit that this was what was on their mind. This is what happened. They weren't necessarily forthcoming.
That's fair. That's true, too.
Or honest about what the intentions are. So it's a difference between saying, Jokic didn't tell me that. I don't believe that that's how Jokic is. And I don't believe that either. I don't believe he's stat pattern. But what I'm saying is,
I mean, you can look at his play. You can tell that he doesn't really necessarily care. I mean, obviously we don't know him, but just based off of how he goes about, his business, I don't really think he care about stats like that. I just think that he's a gifted player whose abilities is able to bring him hopefully 3 MVPs. But it's just one of those things where it's like, bro, they reaching. Or not necessarily they, but Kendrick, but really you could say they, because a lot of these people on ESPN, they love to push these race narratives. ESPN as a whole, they just love to push that race shit. That's why JJ is kind of like a buffer.
It's entirely plausible that might be something that he's doing, and it's something that he's not willing to admit. So I don't think it's completely off kilter what Kendrick Perkins is saying, and I understand where you're coming from because you spoke to the man yourself, you spoke to his teammates, they gave you their perspective, and you believe.
But yeah, man, I just wanted to cover that a little bit, just in regards to the idiocy of Kendrick Perkins. We already know we living in these times where the agendas that they pushing is at its heights when it comes to socialism, Luciferianism, all being under one branch. We understand what's going on. And just when it comes to all these other stories that's going on with Ja Morant and whatnot, most of the stuff is just orchestrated, man. It's just orchestrated. It's just brand building. It's just, cycles. That's all it is, just news cycles. I'm not saying that it's fake to a degree, but what I'm saying is, for the most part, they just like to engineer certain stories for shock value, certain stories for a reaction, and just for people to talk. Like in the case of Ja Morant, it's kind of odd because it's not a natural progression of events. These are things that took place, throughout this year in certain months and spurts in regards to like how it's presented. Like they would present a story about Ja Morant with the gun thing that took place 3 months ago. And then in the event of it taking place, like as far as the narrative in the midst of it, Ja Morant, he goes on IG and he shows a gun. It's like, it doesn't really make any sense. Like, was he prompted to do that? Because we understand the angle of MK Ultra. We understand that most of these players are programmed, they're assets. So maybe he was used to do that for the story to be pushed. Probably went to go get reprogrammed. People say that when you say these things, you're crazy and this and that. But when you understand the three-dimensional aspect of this society and you understand, like, just based off of how you see certain things and you put two and two together as far as context, it's clear, it's in your face. You know, it's not going to be absolute set in stone that this is what it is, but this is the closest conclusion that we come to based off of how this society works, the nefarious aspects of it, the deceptive aspects of it. So what I'm saying is, obviously, they're not going to tell you that this person is programmed. They're not even going to tell you about MK Ultra. They're not going to tell you about, you know, the CIA and how it's pretty much something that controls the entertainment industry. They're not going to tell you these things. That's what I mean about the deceptive aspect. They hide certain things to where a lot of people are docile and they just look at these players as regular people. These people aren't regular people. They're regular people when it comes to just the surface value, but really when it comes to what really goes on in the entertainment industry, they're not regular people. And I'm not saying every single one of them, because I actually have someone that I know that's in the NBA, and I'm proud of him for making the NBA. His name is James Bouknight, and I pray for the brother. I hope nothing but the best for the brother when it comes to, you know, his success. And I understand the demonic element of the industry, and I hope that he's able to stay away from that stuff. But just one of those things where you're unsure. But yes, man, it's, you know, it's clear that most of these stories and most of these agendas that's pushed, it's a reason that they're pushed. And it's a reason, you know, why certain subjects, you know, they get put in the spotlight. Subjects I'm talking about are players and whatnot. It just is what it is.